There seems to be a lot of problems that now surround PlayStation and Until Dawn. Let's sit down and see if this whole ordeal is another spoke in the wheel that has been a disastrous 2024 for the brand. Up next. What's going on, guys? It's Kalo, and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and welcome to the Level Up. Alrighty, so it's a nice change of pace here this week, chatting a bit about PlayStation. And boy oh boy, do we got a lot to sink our teeth into today. The past few months for PlayStation have been rough, and that's to say the least, with things like the launch of Concord, the PS5 Pro reveal and launch, and now it looks like we got problems with Until Dawn. But I don't want to be all negative. This goes without saying. I do think there were some bright spots for PlayStation all throughout the year. And they started off strong with the release of Helldivers 2, we got the Astrobot game, and the reveal of Ghost of Yotai. So, as you can see, it's very hit or miss. But that all leads up until this Until Dawn remake, and when it comes to remakes and PlayStation, things tend to get a little rocky. Now, I won't harp on this little sentiment all too much, but I do have to bring it up here. This is a PlayStation 4 game you can already play on your PS5, and that's all through backwards compatibility at 60 FPS. That's important to remember here. So basically, this all continues in this vein of PlayStation remaking games not too many people are asking for. So that begs the question, do we actually need it? More often than not, it's no. Recently, we've seen that PlayStation is also releasing Horizon Zero Dawn Remake. And I must admit, there are some redone voice acting lines and motion capture. So when we're really nitpicking here, that could be needed. And I'm really stretching that point. But again, the thing here is that game really isn't needed. I'm sorry I sound like a broken record, but PlayStation amended the price tag if you happen to already own the game, and in most cases, some people already have it. And that brings us to Until Dawn. PlayStation is trying to charge a nice price tag of $60, which, hey, that's the typical going rate for games nowadays. But again, this kind of all goes back to this point, will people actually fork over $60 for a game like this? And after hearing what I gotta say at the end of this video, I don't think people are gonna do that. Yep, that's right. Oddly enough, this isn't the root of the entire problem here with this game. And this all popped up when Digital Foundry got their hands on this game, and the results were pretty damn shocking. Again, please keep in mind what I said earlier, that if you get this game on the PS5 through backwards compatibility, you can play it at 60 FPS already. So it turns out through various tests of the game, it is locked at 30 FPS, which if you know the gaming world, especially recent headlines over the years, people don't like that number. So there will be no performance mode with this game. And it turns out there's even problems with frame pacing at 30 FPS. Normally, I don't like to overreact with a story like this, but at this point, it makes me laugh. The game is already out there. It's a PS4 game that you can play on the PS5 at 60 FPS. At what point do we start raising these questions? This is a full-on, quote-unquote, remake of a game that is locked to 30 FPS with a ton of issues. And that's all at a $60 price tag? At some point, someone over at Sony has a lot of explaining to do with this one. That's mainly because I don't know if I'm just blind, I don't see the net positive with this product. Of course, this comes off as a big cash grab at its finest, and sure, there's a movie centered around Until Dawn currently in the works, but this kind of low-effort trash is not worth it. Also, keep in mind there is a rumored sequel on the way, which I think is fine, and I think is much more needed than this product. But that all doesn't excuse this poor performing remake at a premium price tag. Now, when the word got out about this matter, the media got a hold of it and they never looked back. Articles were posted all over the place around how this game's debut was 28% weaker than that of Concord's. That's how you know this is capital bad. Other numbers were thrown out there of how it's like 98% worse than that of The Last of Us Part 2 remaster, but I do think that's a little bit of an unfair comparison because at that point you're comparing apples to oranges, and that's not me excusing this game at all. It's just The Last of Us is like up here and Until Dawn is like somewhere down here in this area. You get what I mean. But at the end of the day, I think this all boils down to this is a remake, once again, no one really asked for. And to charge a premium and somehow, some way release a worse product that's already out there, that sunk this ship long before it ever hit the water. And again, I also think there are plenty of games out there that need the remake treatment. And I'm not gonna mention the ones I normally mention. In this case, I'm talking about Bloodborne. That is a title that has been tossed around so often in the PlayStation world, and all we got nowadays is a skin in Astrobot. I still love you, Astrobot, I'm just saying. But the trend of Sony being very tone deaf when it comes to making remakes or remasters is a trend that is very much continuing. And if they're gonna continue on like that, they're gonna see this fan reception continue as well, which I think is justified. But with all that being said, I'm gonna pass this off to you guys. What do you think of this whole thing, this whole weird situation? And what games deserve remasters? I'm not gonna say mine, you kind of already know mine, but I want to hear yours. But that about does it here. I've been Kalo, I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and this has been the Level Up.